My husband cast me out, only to realize what he lost. When I married Brandon 8 years ago, I never imagined the love of my life would one day become a stranger to me. He was my everything, my confidant, my partner in crime, and the man who promised to cherish me forever. But the man I once adored had changed, and I was about to find out just how cruel he could be. Brandon had always been ambitious, but after his recent promotion, ambition turned into arrogance. With his new executive title came late-night meetings, endless business trips, and a level of coldness I couldn't penetrate. At first, I thought it was just work stress, but as weeks turned into months, I realized I was no longer part of his priorities. The fight started small, forgotten anniversaries, missed calls, and dismissive comments about my own career. But over time, they escalated. He became a man I hardly recognized, distant, indifferent, and at times, downright hostile. One fateful evening, after another heated argument over his lack of involvement in our marriage, Brandon's words cut through me like a knife. "You need to leave, Lena," he said, his tone colder than I had ever heard. I stared at him, shocked. "What are you talking about? This is my home too. Where am I supposed to go?" He shrugged, his expression unreadable. "I don't care. You figure it out. You're just suffocating me. I need space." "Suffocating you?" I repeated, my voice breaking. "Brandon, I've been nothing but patient with you. You're the one who's been pushing me away." "Look," he said, crossing his arms, "this isn't working. I've already made up my mind. I'll change the locks tomorrow. Pack your things." Tears streamed down my face as I realized he wasn't joking. The man I had devoted 8 years of my life to was casting me out like yesterday's trash, and he didn't even have the decency to care where I would go. That night, I packed a single duffel bag with whatever essentials I could grab and walked out the door of the house I had once called home. With nowhere else to turn, I wandered the streets, tears blurring my vision. I called a friend, Grace, who immediately came to my rescue. She let me crash on her couch while I tried to figure out my next steps. I spent the first few nights in a fog of disbelief and heartbreak. I kept replaying Brandon's words in my head, wondering how he could turn on me so easily. Grace urged me to take things one step at a time. "You're stronger than this, Lena," she said. "He might have thrown you out, but he didn't break you. You'll get back on your feet and he'll regret it." Taking her advice to heart, I started to rebuild my life. I found a small, affordable studio apartment and got a job at a local bookstore. The job was modest, but it gave me purpose. Slowly, I began to rediscover myself, the version of me that had been buried under years of trying to please Brandon. Meanwhile, I heard through mutual friends that Brandon was thriving, or at least, that's what he wanted people to think. He threw lavish parties, flaunted his single life on social media, and made it clear he was enjoying his newfound freedom. It stung, but I told myself I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of knowing I cared. Months passed, and I finally started to feel like myself again. My work at the bookstore brought me peace, and I even started making new friends. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and that was enough. Then one day, everything changed. It was a quiet afternoon at the bookstore. I was restocking shelves when I heard the chime of the entrance bell. I glanced up, and my heart skipped a beat. There, standing in the doorway, was Brandon. He looked different, disheveled, tired, and almost lost. His suit was wrinkled, his tie askew, and there were dark circles under his eyes. This wasn't the confident man who had thrown me out months ago. "Lena," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I straightened, keeping my composure. "Can I help you?" I asked, my tone polite but distant. He took a step closer, his eyes scanning the store as if searching for answers. "I didn't know you worked here," he said awkwardly. "Well, now you do," I replied, turning my attention back to the books in my hand. He hesitated, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. "Lena, I've been looking for you. I made a mistake." I froze, the weight of his words sinking in. Slowly, I turned to face him. "A mistake?" I repeated. "Yes," he said, his voice cracking. I was a fool. I thought I wanted freedom, but all I got was emptiness. I miss you, Lena. I miss us. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. You miss me now, after throwing me out like I was nothing? After ignoring me, dismissing me, and making me feel worthless? His face crumpled, and for the first time I saw genuine regret in his eyes. I was wrong, he admitted. I thought I didn't need you, but I was so wrong. Please, Lena, just give me a chance to make it right. I crossed my arms, my heart pounding. A part of me wanted to believe him, but the wounds he had left were still fresh. Brandon, you didn't just hurt me. You destroyed the life we built together. Do you have any idea how hard it was for me to start over? I do, he said, his voice trembling. And I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you'll let me. Please, Lena, just say you'll think about it. I took a deep breath, the weight of his words pressing down on me. For years, I had been the one to bend, to compromise, to forgive. But not anymore. Brandon, I said, my voice steady, I'm glad you've realized what you lost. But I've realized something too. I deserve better. I deserve someone who values me, respects me, and doesn't throw me out when things get tough. He opened his mouth to respond, but I held up a hand to stop him. It's too late, Brandon. I've moved on, and you need to do the same. As he walked out of the store, shoulders slumped and head bowed, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Sadness for what we had lost, but also pride in the strength I had found within myself. For the first time in years, I was truly free. After being thrown out of her own home by the man she once loved, Lena is left with nowhere to go and a shattered heart. Forced to start over, she embarks on a journey of rediscovery, finding strength and independence she never knew she had. But when her estranged husband, Brandon, realizes the gravity of his mistake, he comes back pleading for a second chance. Will Lena forgive him and rebuild what was broken? Or will she choose the new life she fought so hard to create? A powerful story of heartbreak, resilience, and self-worth.